Thank you very much for joining us today. This is our official launch event for the European Alliance for Best-in-Class Deposit Return Systems. This alliance came about after a few years of working very closely with the stakeholders involved in beverage container circularity. We've come together now in a united mission to accelerate the implementation of best-in-class deposit return systems across Europe. We have been working together over the last 3 years to make sure that the requirement of the European Union by way of the packaging regulation made sense in terms of ensuring that we have good deposit return systems that achieve the targets and the goals that we want. So, today is the first day. This is the agenda for the day. I'm going to try to plow through the first few items, which is just giving you a little bit of a lineup, a timeline in the EU and UK for DRS implementation, a little bit about our dashboard, which is a helpful tool for you. And then we're going to turn to some of our first members of the Alliance, and they're going to have a few words. And then a bigger part of the meeting, about 20 minutes, we're going to dedicate to some regional updates to give you an understanding of where we're at in different countries that are in the pipeline for DRS. And then we're going to open it up for a Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to start and to tell you why best-in-class matters when it comes to DRS. It is incredibly important. DRS is a cost-effective, proven solution that has the ability to address the triple planetary crisis. Yes, I'm talking about it has the ability to impact climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. So it hits all three. Of course, I don't need to repeat it to the audience. We know that when we can circulate beverage packaging in all three materials, you get incredible emissions reductions by avoiding virgin production and manufacturing. We have reduced pollution because there is less emissions, less material, less waste. We have biodiversity protection. Of course, it means that we have less litter, particularly containers and packaging in our natural environment. We are also going to be enhancing beverage packaging circularity. I don't need to mention it is one of the most energy-intensive packaging units on the market, and it is the most quickly consumed packaging units on the market. So it's not a great mix. This is why beverage packaging brand owners have a deep interest in making their packaging more circularity, and this is a proven way to do that. And finally, one cannot not talk about the economic development and European resiliency that will come from collecting more material, keeping it clean, and keeping it within production within Europe, and not relying on outside countries supplying Europe with recycled PET, like, for example, Egypt, Turkey, and Vietnam, as an example. So achieving 90% collection rate for beverage packaging is vital for returning high-quality materials into the recycling loop. In terms of our vision and objectives, we want to build on the progress of the last 2 years, which led to the adoption of Article 50 of the packaging regulation. We have 3 key focus areas. One is the timely implementation of DRS in the UK and EU countries that are coming up in the pipeline, and we'll look at that in a second. Monitoring non-DRS countries. These are countries that are ultimately maybe applying for the exemption. We want to make sure that they are on track with meeting the requirement of the exemption, which is 80% by the end of 2026 for both cans and PET bottles. And then finally, we want to help integrate reuse of beverage packaging into the DRS in jurisdictions that require it. We are not here to be lobbying for reuse or against reuse. This is all about ensuring that if a country requires it, that this alliance can help the country understand how best to do it. So we at Reloop are going to act as the knowledge hub and the coordinating secretariat for the alliance, and I think we have a good 10-year history to show that we are more than capable to do that. Best in class, we define best in class as ecologically and economically competitive, tailored to national needs. So why join the alliance? Well, by joining this European alliance, your organization becomes part of a powerful coalition shaping the future of deposit return systems in the UK and Europe. Benefits, You get access to exclusive data and insights, custom communication support, which will start as soon as a couple of weeks from now, strategic engagement opportunities, ongoing compliance support in countries where you're going to have to be faced with a deposit system. We can help you with that, and enhanced advocacy and visibility. In terms of our lineup for the next year, 2-3 years, we are going to be providing our membership with a variety of different things. I've listed them here. I'm not going to go through them all, but a few key points here is the quarterly and monthly meetings, basically once a month, and we're thinking right now it's going to be the first Tuesday of every month. We're going to get together as an alliance to go through updates, discuss what's going on in the various countries in the pipeline, or any important news coming out of the EU, for example, regarding maybe a secondary piece of legislation that is going to impact deposit returns is being discussed. So that is the time for the members to join in. That is a members-only meeting, and those will not be recorded, so it's not like a non-member can receive a recording. We all have some special reports and white papers that are going to be written. One of them is coming up on the 3rd of June, a big report on litter reduction from deposit return systems. A huge amount of evidence has been compiled by Reloop, and we're releasing it on the 3rd of June, and members will get a copy in advance. We'll have fact sheets on different issues. In case you haven't seen them, you just need to go to our website. If you want to know about handling fees, we have the most comprehensive fact sheets on handling fees. You'll all be getting a fact sheet on producer fees at a global level. Members get it, but it's not available for the general public. So quite a few advantages as members. We'll have some in-person events. As an example, we have one in June. We're also going to be having in-person events in some of the countries that are in the pipeline. Interactive digital tools and training sessions for your company and people within your company. And of course, webinars, which we've been doing in the past. So before we go to our speakers, I want to just look at the timeline so we all have an understanding of what Europe looks like. Let's go to the early days in the 80s and 90s. Of course, we all know that we had the Scandinavian programs. Then moving into the 2000s, Germany was a big one that was introduced. It is currently the largest deposit return system in the world, but we'll be butting up against Turkey basically by the end of the year, when Turkey becomes, I think they're slightly larger than Germany now. And then we have, of course, Reloop comes to Europe in 2015, and then suddenly I'm not saying there's a connection, but maybe there is, starting with Lithuania, and then of course we've all seen in the last couple of years, Slovakia, Latvia, Malta, Romania have all joined, having deposit return programs, some very impressive results already. And then coming in 2024, we had Hungary and Ireland up and running, and just recently Austria, 2025 January. We're expecting Poland at the end of the year, this year in October, and then coming soon. So let's just say these are the countries of interest when I call in the pipeline: Spain, Greece, Portugal, and England, Scotland, Northern Ireland. And we haven't put Wales on here because we're not quite sure what's going on with Wales, but probably Wales as well. So there you have a very interesting DRS timeline. Yes, there are some European countries that are not on this timeline, like Belgium, like Italy, like France, like Slovenia and Bulgaria and Luxembourg, but we are under the assumption that beyond 2027, they will eventually have to come on board, because it will be very difficult for them to meet the exemption target. Finally, I just wanted to recap that we've just launched our second dashboard. This is an interactive dashboard available online. You can get there from our website. This one is of particular interest to our audience today. It is a digitized version of our global deposit book, which has been around for about 10 years. It really offers the user an incredible array of tools that you can generate your own screenshots or lists of information when you want to understand different deposit systems and different elements of deposit systems, be they the deposit levels, performance rates, how deposit return systems are structured, et cetera, et cetera. Please visit our dashboard, and we are conducting personalized bespoke training for companies and their employees that join the Alliance. And you can, this is just some screenshots from the dashboard, a very, very intense amount of information for you. So now as we move to a quarter after the hour, I'd like to stop sharing, but before, just to show you who we have in our lineup to speak over the next while. These are some of our initial members of the European Alliance, and I don't want to keep going on here, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we are going to start with Patricia Bossola. Patricia is the Secretary General of Natural Mineral Waters Europe. Patricia, please unmute your mic.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Clarissa and Reloop, for convening us today and giving me the opportunity to say a few words. We are quite happy indeed to announce that we have joined the Alliance because it makes a lot of sense for us. DRS has been a pursuit by NMWE for quite some time. I think it came as an obvious choice for us. I would say back around 2017, 2018, with the public announcement by NMWE, the public call for wide deployment of DRS. And since then, it has been an essential element on our agenda because we see DRS having the ability to deliver quality, quantity, and also prevent litter. So obviously a good choice towards resource efficiency for our sector. Now, where do we stand today? Lots of extremely positive news because we had a kind of validation by the EU. You mentioned it, Clarissa. We had first the obligation to collect 90%, which gave a first boost under SUPD. Then we had the PPWR and calling for, unless there are exemptions met, indeed the mandatory deployment. So we saw, as you just highlighted, a lot of countries following course and setting up their DRS. Yet we see that there is still lots of work to do, and I think that's where we all come into play in the context of this alliance, because we are still faced with resistance. You mentioned it, it's some key markets. We are still faced with some hesitations and fears among market players themselves. And in countries who did make the decision to set up DRS, we see a delay in implementation. So it is sad to say, but collection is not progressing as we would expect it to do. So we need to accelerate the process. We need to win over the resistance, often connected to lack of knowledge. And we need to set up DRS which work. We are seeing some worrying trends in some countries with a lot of state interference, which is not necessarily playing in favor of increased efficiency. So in order to, I would say, gather this momentum and progress towards closer towards closer loops, what we see as two key elements, I would say, is the knowledge and partnerships. Knowledge, because we need to equip our members so that they know how to set up those DRS, they know what key factors they need to have, etc. Knowledge vis-a-vis authorities, because we see that it's quite a challenge for them to set up the partnerships that are required. And also critical analysis. There is a need to know what works and what doesn't in a DRS. And with all these objectives that we need to meet, Reloop has a special role to play. In the past, Reloop has been the place to go to have solid information Now you are adding this dimension of platform for partnership, partnership for collaboration. And I think these are really the elements upon which to base our action towards successful and effective DRS across the EU and ultimately full circularity. So we're happy to be in, and we will play our role.
Excellent to hear all of that, Patricia. And I just want to say we agree that there are delays. We need to accelerate, and the best way we can do it is working together as a powerful alliance and being a knowledge hub. As you said, a lot of people don't really understand some of this stuff, and we have to educate them so there's less resistance. I'm going to move to our second speaker, Achim Drurs. I think many of you know him. He's from Nestle Waters, and Nestle is the largest food and beverage company in the world, so we're pleased to have them as an initial member. Achim is the head of sustainability and stakeholder relations. Thank you, Achim. Take it away.
Thank you, Clarissa. Building on what already has been said before, we as Nestle Waters and Premium Beverages clearly support deposit return systems as they are the most effective lever to step up packaging circularity, at least in developed countries. And as Patricia said, this works both on quantity and quality of recyclates that are available for going into closed loop, into new bottles and cans. By this, DRS fully support our own commitment on packaging circularity, including the collection for recycling and the uptake of recycled content in our own packaging. Every country is different to a certain extent. Different stakeholders, quite a range of extended producer responsibility schemes with performance that ranges from disappointing to pretty good, but mostly falling short of our ambition to collect at least 90%. We learn that every country claims to have different challenges, but they are in fact very similar wherever you look. So it's crucial that we take a consistent approach to DRS design, which allows for tailoring and localization when needed. While differences might be smaller than every country claims for itself, some of the challenges are actually the same everywhere, and so should be the fundamental design of DRS with the necessary fine-tuning and adaptation, of course. When it comes to national legislation for implementation, we see more differences and challenges than we would consider necessary. And we are facing similar roadblocks across countries. This means we are at risk to have to reinvent the wheel again and again and again. Now, as you said, with the PPWR setting clear timelines for stepping up separate collection, we have a window of opportunity to get things right. And as industry, we have a pretty clear view already on key design parameters for well-performing DRS. We believe that these should be, as this is a producer responsibility, they should be led by industry. They should be cost efficient, of course, not for profit. They should be supporting closed loop recycling. And last but not least, key success factor, they should be convenient for consumers. That's the paradigm. And there are more parameters that we believe that make a DRS well-performing with a relatively broad alignment between key stakeholder groups already. I might add that we're already quite active across the countries where we operate, supporting local alliances and industry coalitions, and training our people on the how to implement DRS. Sharing and knowledge transfer between countries is part of this, actually quite similar to what Reloop has been doing over the last years. I might also add that we actually started this work a couple of years ago with sharing and leveraging the great knowledge base that Reloop developed. The Reloop deposit book has been our Bible for system understanding and performance benchmarking. So for us, it's quite natural to join forces with Reloop on the next steps on the journey. We believe that this best-in-class DRS alliance can play a vital role to bring the different stakeholders together, provide knowledge and expertise on how to get well-designed DRS on the road. That's what we're aiming for. This is basically why we as business decided to join the alliance. We have a window of opportunity to help shaping DRS well in line with the business needs. So let's use this window of opportunity together. And we appreciate to be able to participate in the discussion today. So thanks a lot, Clarissa and team.
Thank you so much, Achim. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm going to move straight to UNESDA, which is the Soft Drink Association of Europe, also a partner with us, as has been Natural Mineral Waters Europe, leading up to the packaging regulation, a very great partnership I think we had over the last years. Delphine Close is the Senior Public Affairs Manager from UNESDA. Delphine, take it away.
Thank you very much, Clarissa. To be honest, it will become harder and harder for the speakers to say something new and not repeat what the other speakers have said, because I think we all share the same objective, the same ambition, the same position, and this is why we are actually trying to be part of the same alliance. But basically, as the other speaker said, there is no doubt for us as a sector that DRS have a key role to play in achieving a circular economy for beverage packaging. They are one of the most efficient systems for meeting the collection, the recycling, the recycled content targets. And an important element is that they also bring consumers on that journey of circularity, because they make consumers also part of the collection and the recycling efforts. It's not just an industry scheme, it's really a collaborative scheme, because we depend also on consumers' behavior to get back the material. So for a sector like ours, which has both mandatory targets in terms of collection, recycled content, but also many voluntary commitments to achieve high collection rates, incorporate more and more recycled content into our packaging, I think supporting the wider rollout of DRS in Europe, and most importantly, well-designed DRS, is definitely key. And I emphasize the well-designed DRS. I think that's a very important point for us. It's not just about developing DRS, it's by doing it in the right way. And this is why we have been engaging for several years now, together with industry peers here on the call, but also the NGO community, to set up a list of minimum requirements. What are the key elements that any DRS must comply with to be as efficient as possible? And you may find some of those elements in the famous or infamous packaging and packaging waste regulation. But that's also why we're really looking forward to join this alliance. It's to build on that work that already started years ago, and really keep exchanges, best practices, and continue the promotion of well-designed DRS in Europe. And maybe just to diving into some element that is very kind of close to our heart, let's say, in the beverage sector, is a key design element to facilitate the access to high quality food grade material. Indeed, through DRS, you can really create closed loop recycling, so bottle to bottle, can to can, and therefore reducing the demand for virgin materials. And that can be easily set up in a DRS systems by providing the option for beverage manufacturers to buy first the high quality food grade material they need that is coming from the beverage packaging that they initially put in the market and for which they have paid the collection fees. So yes, we are really looking forward to becoming a member of the Alliance as well. It sounds like a natural step for us, because we share the same objective of improving beverage packaging circularity. And yes, let's keep building on everyone's experience and advance the circularity together.
Thank you very much, Delphine. And moving to our last speaker, moving to another member of the value chain for circular beverage packaging, is probably the largest PET provider and the most active company involved in supporting DRS. I'd like to welcome Hermes Panagiotopoulos, who is the head of sustainability and advocacy for EMEA at Indorama Ventures. I think many of you know him. Hermes, you have the last word. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clarissa, and for your audacity to pronounce my last name. I mean, that was the most difficult part of today's webinar. Yes, first of all, it's nice. It's nice to be here because I have been for many years proponent and of this system as far as beverages are concerned, because this exists only for beverage for the time being. So Indorama Ventures indeed is the largest PET producers, virgin and recycling PET in the world. In Europe, we have facilities of virgin and recycled PET. And of course, why we are members of this European Alliance, even though we are global company, actually in Europe we have a lot of assets, and because of that we want, as a recycling company as well, that we want what it was mentioned before, quantity and quality, in order to drive the truly circular PET in that case, but DRS, of course, it has for other materials as well, glass and aluminum cans, which also have the reputational benefit when you don't find them as litter in European cities or countries. And going back to the circularity, it's very important because when you have a very good collection systems, and you have also the recycling facilities, you can speak of a closed loop system that, as you mentioned, Clarissa, in your beginning about some countries from outside of Europe, is very important that when we speak about circularity, what happens in Europe is being put in the market, collected, sorted, recycled, and then incorporated in the new bottles. So that's the true circularity and not going via others. Now, DRS, we don't reinvent the wheel. It's something that it works very well and has proven itself as far as beverages are concerned, because when we speak about PET trays, for example, is not in the DRS system. You need a well-performing EPRs in order to collect, because all these materials now need to be collected, and it will be a valuable source for the EPR as well. But beverage bottles, in our case, PET, we as a company, we say 90, because we are a global company, not only European, 90 plus collection, that's what we are after. And it's clear, and this is what NMWE has done in 2018, because it's a first step, as Patricia said, that you push the collection, and actually you push a collection and you push DRS at the same time, because this is the system that brings in 2-3 years the results that you need. And I'm happy to see many countries arriving to this result. And of course, PPWR put it for 1st of January 2029, but it's critical that we do it earlier, and also it's critical that we do it, as Delphine said, in a right way, because, for example, industry-led, the key success factors that she was mentioning, industry-led is very, very important, because industry has the benefit of the performance of the system. Because if it goes to the general budget of a state, then it doesn't go for the infrastructure of the system in the long run. So it's basically brand owners putting something on the market, pay for it via the green dot, and then you don't have the benefit, you don't have the collection, the right collection, and you have the litter, so reputational risk as well. So it's very important that we do it in a right way in every European country. That's my contribution, Clarissa.
Well, thank you very much, Aramis, and all of you for your contributions. Now we're going to move to the second half of the webinar. We're going to do regional updates. These are the these are the countries in the pipeline, and I'm just going to share my screen again, and I'm going to ask Anna if you don't mind unmuting, because we're going to start with our regional updates in Eastern Europe. Anna, take it away.
Hello everyone, greetings from Sweden, the oldest deposit for single-use beverage containers in Europe. Here we have had circularity for both cans and PET bottles from 2009, actually, as a matter of fact, on a local level. So more than 50% of the plastic bottles in Sweden contain the recycled content coming from the DRS. So what's the situation south of Sweden? So in Central and Eastern Europe, for many years, we have had deposit systems as a collection solution for beverage containers in Croatia and Estonia. And recently, as you know, Lithuania 2016, Latvia 2022, Slovakia joined the system, and now also with recent countries such as big Hungary and Romania. And one of the biggest in the region is also planning to implement the scheme this year. We can move to next slide. Yeah, and what is actually happening? It is a little bit far from this fantastic picture of DRS as a cost-efficient system run by producers and retailers. In Poland, the system was decided based on multiple system operators, and some of the mainstream operators gathering the biggest industry members have not yet received their license. Also, there is no umbrella organization as we speak. In Bulgaria, after many months of proper discussions in the working group, this was terminated, and actually in Bulgaria now we are facing the nationalization attempts. I would even call it business case for government, which is far from extended producer responsibility for beverage containers implementation, as we know DRS is. Czech Republic terminated legislative proceedings due to the huge opposition of the municipalities and waste sector. And in Slovenia, the system implementation collection for beverage containers in form of deposit system has been blocked formally because of the challenges, legal challenges with the Act of Law of Environment legislation related to the EPR reform, but there is also a huge opposition of the waste sector in this country. We can move to next and last slide from the region. Yes, Poland is the biggest country that is planning to introduce the DRS as of October this year. I would like to mention that this date is a date of which there is possibility for the system operators to start operation of the deposit system. However, the operators have possibility to do it later based on the date that is defined in their licenses. So far, we have a couple of system operators with the licenses. You have them listed here. It's Wrotka, Oko, Eco Operator, and Reselect, and two major ones. I'm saying major because they embrace the entities that represent the huge market shares, are waiting for the license. So is Polka, that did have the license earlier, and now because of the formal reasons, probably temporary, it is revoked. That was my last slide, and I am really happy to be part of this alliance movement. As Patricia and Delphine said, we need knowledge, we need partnership. Unfortunately, we also need to come out, as Achim said, we have the Bible, but having the Bible does not make the others DRS religious. So I'm hoping that with this alliance, we will make the other parts of Europe DRS religious, and actually obtain the main objective, which is circularity of the beverage packaging. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Now let's move to Spain. So as of November 2024, DRS was mandated due to the missed SUPD bottle targets. I don't know if you all remember, but the real numbers came out and they were significantly lower than the 77% expected for 2025. The deadline to apply as a system operator is May 22nd, 2025, and it will be an open market model, so that means multiple systems may operate. So this is in a way similar to what we're dealing with in Poland. So far, as of last night, we understood that there were 2 applications submitted by ProCircular and the Association of SDDR, and SDDR is DRS in Spanish. But we've just been informed that ENGOs has also submitted an application to operate the DRS, which confirms a theory that many had, that ENGOs is not going to want to give up its competing share of the pie, because it currently has all the beverage brands reporting and paying its fees for EPR. So according to market report, the Ali market report, between 25 to 30% of the packaging is potentially at stake. So there's real competition has really begun in Spain. So it'll be interesting to get status updates on Spain when you join the Alliance and join our monthly meetings. Next, we have Portugal. There is only one system operator in Portugal called SDR Portugal. They've been selected. The license was granted in November of 2024 for 10 years. The transition starts on March the 1st, 2026, with a full switch by July 1st, 2026. There will be sell-off periods for producers, 60 days. This is sell-off periods, the barcode that has not been registered with the new DRS. Horeca, 90 days, and retail, 120 days. And the deposit value is still under review, but it'll be between 10 and 15 cents. Moving to Greece, quite a bit of information here. Many of you will know that October 31st, Greece adopted a new recycling bill that mandates introduction by the 1st of December 2025. I'll just say right now, I'm not so sure that's going to happen on the 1st of December 2025. This is one of these delays. But however, the ministry's ordinance does stipulate cans and PET. They took glass out at the last minute. It is returned to retail, but it offers a possibility of municipal collection points. And of course, the deposit value is 15 cents on the bigger containers and 10 on the small. Yes, Greece has a slightly less cost of living, so you can actually ratchet that deposit down to those rates. Establishment of the deposit return system operator is ongoing. The shareholders are the Retail Association, Soft Drink Association, Mineral Waters Associations, and Brewers. And industry expectation is the system will start either in early Q2 or early Q4 2026. Also, just to say, it will be one of the biggest Southern European DRS launched, with a population of about 10 million people, but 40 million tourists per year to the island. So real logistic challenges. And I just want to remind you up here, possibility of municipal collection points. And we might see not only the return to retail, but some supportive additional collection infrastructure for large volumes. Now we move to the UK. The DRS scheme operator for England, Northern Ireland, Scotland is now called the UK DMO. It was announced earlier this month, and it consists of, specifically here you have a list of everybody that is in that DMO. So they're covering the gamut: soft drink, water, alcohol, small producer, large producer, small retailer, and a wholesaler. The legislation is going through the Scottish Parliament to change the designated scheme operator from what was Circularity Scotland to now the new one, UK DMO. And as of February 2025, just so you know, for Ireland, about almost a billion bottles and cans have been returned for recycling since the DRS started a little over a year ago. So good news from the UK and Ireland. We're going to move to a Q&A shortly, but before we do, I just want to do the last couple of slides, and then we can talk a little bit more about the status. But I just wanted to tell you what's up next, the lineup for the Alliance. So we're going to have a running calendar. It's going to change as issues pop up, and one of the things we want to hear from you is what are some of the key issues that you want to hear about in terms of webinars. So we've gone through April. This is what we produced in April that is past. Now we're in our launch event. We're going to be onboarding members for the rest of May and into June. We'll be having monthly updates, as I said, once a month for members only, and every third month is going to be a longer quarterly meeting where we're going to have more content. Here you have an example of the things that are coming up. Just to focus here, we are launching a massive report and I say massive, it's not necessarily that long, but it has unbelievable data that has never been aired before from all over the world, actually, which shows an incredibly huge impact that deposit has specifically on beverage container litter, which is the lion's share of all litter when measured by weight. So this is a really good news story, and we'll be providing infographics to share the good news story with our members. We have deep dive webinars. I would love to hear today, either through the comment section or the Q&A. If you have an idea of something that we should be talking about, maybe it's something like, how do you structure a right of first refusal agreement? That is definitely an issue that we're hearing about, and maybe we need to do a webinar. So these deep dive webinars are meant to support our members with the issues that they want to build knowledge around. Another dashboard's coming out in July, and we'll train members on that dashboard, and more fact sheets. This is a very interesting one. We've published it in the past. Many of you will know it. It's incredible evidence showing that municipalities actually financially benefit from DRS. It's particularly poignant, let's just say, in France right now, but we'll be providing that evidence soon. So with that, we're going to move to a Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and also just to give you a reminder that if you're interested in joining, please contact myself or communicate directly with Reloop via our website, and we very much look forward to working with you in the future. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. We have 15 minutes left for a Q&A, and I did see one hand up, I believe. Let's just see if we have anything in the Q&A. I don't know if you want to, I think it was Oliver, maybe. Does anybody have a question? If you do, you can unmute, or you can put it in the Q&A. And if you might have a question directly for Anna about Eastern Europe, as I said, she really knows the Eastern Europe situation well. We have a hand up from Oliver. Oliver Kiefer from Red Bull, would you like to unmute your microphone?
Hi, Clarissa. Thank you for giving me the chance to ask a question. So I was really thinking of how can we guarantee that we get the latest facts on the local developments in your monthly updates? So how can we really interact with, for instance, the Spanish associations, and the operators in Poland? Maybe you can say some words to the local updates. Thank you.
So I'll just turn it to Anna. Anna, this is Oliver asking how they can get more actively engaged in those local efforts. Do you want to give it from an Eastern European point of view?
There are definitely opportunities that we do that. We can organize lots of meeting platforms in the countries of your interest, on top of what Clarissa already addressed, so the monthly meetings where during which we would be giving the updates on the development of the situation. So we can also have a separate discussion on the ideas on more alliance activities and meeting platforms in future.
Yeah, and just to say that Reloop has a set of directors based in different countries. As you know, Anna is not only living in Scandinavia, but she covers Eastern Europe. We have Alexei Eisenberg, who couldn't be with us today because he's hosting a reuse conference in France, but he's working on the ground in France. And then we have Sarah is also working with us in the UK. So we have our own boots on the ground, but we're also very connected with networks on the ground. So these can be business networks or NGO networks, which are monitoring the situation. So you will definitely get access to those contacts if you want to have a say, or even join them to add to their local power, let's just say, because at a local level, when I say a regional level, there is a lot of fragmentation, and part of what we can help to do is to build up coalitions at a regional level to try to influence that pipeline and make sure that it sort of moves through at a quicker rate. Anybody want to add to that in my speakers? If not, I'm going to see if there are any more questions or comments. Now is the time. If not, we're going to assume that it's been a success and we're going to end early. So unless there are any final questions, perhaps we covered everything, so there are no final questions. A reminder, please access our global deposit book, access our dashboards. It's an incredible amount of information. This is very much in the learning phase. The people you see on the screen, they know deposit return. They've been working on these files for years. A lot of people, as Patricia mentioned earlier, there's a real knowledge gap with a lot of companies. They still don't get it. They don't understand how they can benefit. And this is the role that we all have in the Alliance. And just to say, the thing that really got this going was when Reloop crunched the numbers in terms of the cumulative impact on brand owners across Europe, what it could mean for them from an environmental perspective, what it could mean for them in terms of emissions, if they could reduce the amount of virgin input that they put in their bottles and their cans. And the data was unbelievably convincing. And you can Google Target 90 and you can see all the data. But we're talking about in the order of more than 20%, 40% for some of the materials over a 10-year period, 20, 40, 50% reduction in some cases over 10 and 20 years. That is major for the package that is the most numerous package. Beverage packaging actually at a global level comprises more units than food packaging. Having that kind of return on investment is undeniable. And that is why all of the brands and the associations whose brands sit at the table now have been convinced. It is no secret that a mere 10 years ago, when Reloop came to Brussels, the brands didn't really want to hear from us about deposit return. But it's changed now because the brands are taking responsibility for their packaging. So this is a major shift. We need to harness this enthusiasm, do what we've done successfully in many European countries that are literally getting 90% after their second year. We are going to show you in our litter study how incredible the reductions in litter have been in a year or 2 years. We have the data. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. I'm going to close the session with 9 minutes to go. Hermes, go ahead.
Yes, just when I hear that you are going to close. So yes, my company is only on PET, so virgin or recycled. But my last comment for this webinar is that what DRS does, or very well performing EPRs, but here we're discussing about DRS. What DRS does is valorizes the beverage packaging, not only PET, because as you said very well, and many people know, but not everyone, that you have some exceptions about glass you mentioned, but glass, aluminum cans are included. So it's not only for PET, I'm coming from a PET, but it valorizes, so you don't have litter, and this is a big reputational risk for those who make the beverage packaging, for those who put the beverage packaging in the market, which are the brands. So it's a value chain angle that gives a very good benefit this system. So that's my last word.
Thanks, Hermes. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, with that, I'm going to close the launch event for the European Alliance for Best-in-Class Deposit Return Systems. I look forward to meeting with you all on a regular basis and sharing incredibly useful information. So thank you very much, and let's start this amazing journey together. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to this journey. We'll have a lot of fun together, indeed.
Thanks, Akin.